Thanks everyone for joining us today. I'm Felicia Bell from the Gulf States Regional Office located in Jackson, Mississippi. And today we welcome one of our clients that we have just had an awesome time working with over the years, Mr. James Burch. And today our topic is veterans becoming farmers. This is our part 2. And so Mr. James will basically give a brief introduction to let you know who he is and what he have done in his military career and what he's doing now, kind of give a recap of what we did on last week. And I think this week we're doing a deep dive. I'll let Mr. James get into it, but I think we'll just be going a little bit further in our presentation from last week. So Mr. James, I hand it over to you. Not able to hear you, Mr. James.
Yeah, again, I forget to unmute myself. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Miss Bell, for allowing me to share our journey. For those of veteran farmers, I salute you. I see that we have one of our dear friends and a big supporter of the Veterans Program, Ms. Robin Metzer from out in the Arkansas area. And we're going to talk more about that, and I'm not going to steal Robin's thunder because I tell you what, that's a great organization. I'm a native Mississippian, everyone, from a little town called Lexington, Mississippi. I went into the military in 1970, kind of on because I was pissed off at my grandfather. I told him that I was going to go to Alcorn A&M University, but I needed a car to go to school. And he told me, he said, son, he said, a lot of your family members went to Alcorn and they left the driving to Greyhound. And me being 16, 17 years old, I buffed up in the chest. And so my grandfather shared with me, he said, son, have I ever shared with you the story about the major organs of the body was discussing who should be in charge? And my thought process was what this has to do with me in a car and going to school. So he went on to share his story, and he told me about the major organs was standing around discussing who should be in charge. And the rear end showed up a little bit late and said, what are y'all talking about? And they said, well, we're really discussing who should be in charge. Thought for a minute, and the rear end said, well, I should be in charge. And everybody laughed. So about 3 or 4 days later, the rear end stopped functioning. The other major organs of the body died off. And the dad said, to the moral to this story is I'm the butthole for this family. So my thought process was, I'll show you. So I'm going to join the Army because there was a sign outside the recruiter's office pointing at me and said, Uncle Sam wants you. And I thought he was talking directly to me. So I went into the Army with the intent to do my 3 years, 2 or 3 years, get my GI Bill and come back home and go to Alcorn and said, I'll show you. But fast forward, those 3 years turned into 44 years. So, but I always maintained that one day I was going to put my foot on Alcorn, and I always maintained that Mississippi was going to be the final chapter. And so here we are. I'm currently employed as a consultant with the Mississippi Development Authority, where my role is still about serving and helping people. One of my primary focuses is on veterans. So there, we can assist you in any manner. And I serve as a contract procurement advisor. The government buys everything. So basically, farmers, we can attest to that. And I'm also trying my hand at beginning farmers and ranchers, supported by my ride or die partner for life, Della. And so that's kind of where we are. But when we decided to come back, next slide, Ms. Bell. When I decided to come back, we decided that we were going to retire and make this our next, this our final chapter I came back and I realized that there were a food shortage per se. And in my area, there is, I think the closest major food store is probably 20 miles one way. So what we do, so my thought process is, and then I came back on some land that my great grandfather bought, acquired probably about 117 years ago. And so rather than to pay taxes on that land and just sit there and let it sit there and idle and paying taxes on it, I made a comment to a couple of my family members and said, hey, we need to do something with this, if nothing more, to pass it on to future generations and put it back into a condition that we know it from our youth. And so we went on to, and making that comment, everybody looked at me and said that, well, you don't have a job, why don't you take charge? So being, and as you military people can attest to, when they tell us to take charge, we find out we have been trained to look for all of the resources, technical, financial, whatever the situation is. And I must say, one of the first people that I ran into was our NCAT office, Miss Bell, Mr. Rock, and they have shared and imparted some serious knowledge on us. And then they take that time to come out on the property and get their hands in the dirt. They don't just talk the talk, they walk it as well. And again, I'm so thankful for them. I see we had a couple of Alcorners on here. Alcorn has been a big supporter of the educational piece and technical piece on the ground as well. And then, needless to say, and like I said, I'm not going to steal Robin's thunder, but I had the distinct pleasure of being able to go out and spend a week on the farm with Robin and her staff. And let me tell you, that's when I realized I shifted into high gear, because I knew farming was the way for me. I can't even spell sheep, but I got a chance to play with the sheep out there on one of the farms that they had us on out there. So that was, and it's just in my blood now. And if you can tell, I'm pretty excited. I get up in the morning time and I said, I'm gonna head down to the farm today. I'm gonna go play in the dirt. So it's kind of like tranquility, and those of you that have served in combat areas, and that you can attest to and witness to, that being out there surrounded by nature, playing in the dirt, nobody is telling you what to do. That is consolation, and is rewarding in itself. So basically, I had a vision, and in my vision, and Ms. Bear, can you advance the slide? There you go. And take it over to the next one, please. There you go. So this is what caused me to get up in the morning, and these are the things that keeps me in realization on what's important. And not only is it about me, it's about helping the community. Basically, what I look at here is those things that are important to me. And as you can see, my farm thought processes has started coming into play. If you look to your left, there are some solar systems in there. There's a drone in there, and of course, there's my vision garden, because like I said, I'm a beginning farmer, so I made some serious mistakes in 2019. But I think I made enough mistakes in 2019 that we got it right for 2020, 2021. So now we are prepping. Now we are doing those things that we realize some of the mistakes that we made, and how not to make them again. And then again, referring back to the subject matter expert, Ms. Bell, Mr. Wood, Alcorn team. And not only, we're going to talk about another group of fantastic people a little further on, the NRCS team. Those are guys and gals, those are some people you need to get to know, and it probably wouldn't hurt to put them on speed dial. Next slide, please. And what we did, I took this farming thing at heart, and I really sat back and did an assessment on how do we start. So we kind of did an assessment. Where are we now? Where do we want to go? And how much sweat equity that I wanted to invest in that. So being committed, start accessing resources. Like I said, I talked about the NCAT team, talked about the Alcorn team. And as you go to these different trainings, and even though I know we're doing a lot of virtual stuff now, but I was, at that time, we were able to get up close and personal. So we got a chance to meet the NRCS guys. We got a chance to meet the FSA guys. And we got a chance to meet all of that support mechanism that's in place to carry us to the next level. So basically what I did was, once I made a determination that this is what we're going to do, I start to sitting down and identifying my resources that I currently have. And basically my thought process is that every piece of property that we have, every inch of that property needs to be identified as having a purpose. So we did a section map and sit down with the family members and got buy-in to say, hey, is this the way we want to go? Listen to what everybody had and made sure that we came to a common agreement that this is where we want to go. And then I constantly attend continuous learning with training. I'm currently enrolled in one of the farm management classes with sessions with Alcorn A&M, which is really a very good thing, because one of the things about it is that I'm finding out in my current role is that we are leaving a lot of money and a lot of resources on the table because we are not treating our business like a business. Now, farming is a business, and believe you me, if you don't treat it like one, you just have a hobby. Next slide, please. Throughout our continuous learning, like I said, getting to know your NRCS staff, FSA office. My NRCS person and FSA person knows me personally, and I have them on speed dial. If I have stupid questions or any question that I think, I'm on the phone with them, getting the information and asking them, can I do this? How do I do this? What technical resources? What, if there are any financial resources? Whatever the case may be. But there's no dumb questions, because they have been very instrumental in our productivity as it stands right now. We have participated in a forestry program, which we got a lot of trees planted. We participated in the pollinator program, and if I had not talked to my NRCS FSA person, I would have never known about the pollinator program, which is a very lucrative program. Wildlife habitat, and then I had under the stewardship program, they had a program called the BAT I call it the BAT program, but it falls under wildlife habitat. Now that BAT program, and I can tell you, if you have some land that is wooded area and you haven't figured out what to do with it, you need to go talk to your FSA and NRCS person. Now, there's another piece of that is a group that they are a private entity, but they create what they call the conservation stewardship program for you. They write your plan for you. Thanks to those guys and I was introduced to them through the NRCS. They did an area view of the property and said that, hey, you want to participate in the bat habitat. And now the wife had some issues with it because she said she didn't want bats close to the house. I said, baby, that's back in the woods. Don't even worry about that. But then when she saw what they allocated for the bat habitat, she said, well, baby, maybe we can have the bat habitat. But that is a 5-year program, which I think in my case, I think they allocated somewhere around $15,000 a year. So periodically what I do is every year, probably July, the guy that writes my conservation stewardship program, he sends me a list of things what he need me to do. James, you need to go take some pictures. So I drive through the woods, take pictures of all of the habitat or the type of trees and stuff that the bats can hibernate in. If there is any invasive weeds, anything like that, I need to show that I either sprayed for them or I cut them to keep them under control. But those types of programs, and that's not manpower intensive. That's something I'm doing. I get out there, I'm riding through the woods. I'll get off my ATV, I'll do a soil sample, I'll take some pictures, and then I upload them and send them back to the guy that's writing my conservation plan. And somewhere around October, I think it is, they send you a check. So basically you can take those funds and allocate those funds to growing your business. Now, one thing that I must tell you, like I said, when you treat your business like a business, it's very lucrative. Treat your farm like a business. Keep good records, because there are so many things that you can nickel and dime yourself to death going through Tractor Supply and the seed place and stuff like that. But you need to keep good records because it turns out to be very lucrative in the end. Next slide, please. These are some of the resources that, and like Ms. Bell said, let's do a little bit deeper dive. I didn't get a chance to add notes to these, but I made some notes here that I have here. But this is a site that you need to become very knowledgeable on. They just rolled this one out recently, and it's still under development. It's still not fully populated yet, but it has a lot of information on it. Now, we talked about some of the programs that are available on this site. Once you bring up farmers.gov, create your username and password if you don't already have one. And if you already have what we've known before as an e-authenticate account, it rolled over when they stood up the new farmers.gov website. But one of the things they have added is kind of like a one-stop shop, because if you are a farmer or you're thinking about farming, and I'm not sure if we have some of the people on that we had on last week, but they were getting ready to transition from the military to civilian sector, and what they wanted to do, they wanted to get back on the land and play in the dirt. This right here, they have, if you don't know what you want to do, there are a couple of different entities out there. Well, actually, there's more than a couple, but if you have timber that you want to get harvested, or that you're not sure what you want to do with, or if you want to do a forestry plan, basically you can probably find a certified forester on this link. But one of the things that I found recently that I didn't even know that exists, there's what they call it a TSP, technical service provider. Now these people, of course, they are private entities, and it's at cost. But one of the things they try to do is these are, but let me back that up a minute. These are people that are, they have to be certified with NRCS in order to be a technical service provider. Now these guys are across the board, they gonna get you the max bang for the buck because they charge you at a percentage. So basically, so they're gonna get you the max bang for the buck because the more that you make, the bigger their pot is. And I ain't mad at them. That's a business. But I tell you, this is worth its weight in gold because had my conservation stewardship partner that's writing my plan, had he not been knowledgeable on what he was doing and advised me on what programs we should participate in, I would have been sitting here, and the only thing my woods would have been good for me to go deer hunting in this fall. But still right now, I can still hunt in it, but then they're paying me $15,000 a year for 5 years because it's a 5-year contract. So they've allocated $60,000 over a run of 5 years. And the only thing I got to do is periodically I take a couple soil samples. I go in and take some pictures, and I make sure that some of those invasive weeds does not grow in my woods. On this program, you have a technical service provider, and once you go into the NRCS and the FSA office, you go in the FSA office and you get your farm and track number, and then you start then you go over to the NRCS office, which they are normally co-located, and you kind of tell them, okay, this is what I'm thinking I want to do. So they roll in this site, they roll out, it's called a new program. They just roll out the new program is called CART, and it's the Conservation Assessment Rating Tool. What I would recommend to all of you that are farmers and you're not understanding how they rank the practices that you may have applied for, if you want to get something that's going to put you to sleep, but I got to say it won't put you to sleep because the presenters are awesome. ATTRA and NCAT has a 3-part video out that's called Cart Before the Horse. And they go through that whole new cart, the ranking system on those 3 YouTube videos. You can get those, you can access those to ATTRA website, and you also can NCAT and ATTRA's website, you can access those 3 videos. There's a 3-part video, 1, 2, and 3, and they do a real deep dive into the ranking system. And then they tell you about if you apply for one program, the new way that they do business now, you may apply for one program, but the technical advisor will come on your property, and he will take a look and see, well, you don't qualify for this program here. However, you qualify for this there, which will encompass some of the other practices that you want to add to your portfolio. So that is worth its weight in gold. So like I said, I would definitely create my account on farmers.gov and play around on that site, because I tell you what, you get brain cramps from just touring that site, because there is so much information. And for those of us that are beginning farmers and ranchers and don't understand the concept, and then frequently these things change because they are getting ready to roll out the application again here shortly, but some of the verbiage in there change. And it also depends, a lot of time, it depends on the interpretation of your NRCS advisor. but mostly they all on the same sheet of music. But some of them's interpretation may be a little bit different from their counterpart in another county, or they may not necessarily, if you're in different states, some practices may not be applicable as they are in Mississippi. The business plan, you definitely need a business plan, because my thought process is like, if you don't have a business plan, it's kind of like going on vacation without a road map. You're just going around in circles. And what I recommend is, with the link as it shows here on the screen, is agplan.umn.edu. That's one of the universities that roll out this ag plan. It's interactive. What I love about it, it has examples on there. In most cases, if you go in there and it says your farm description, and you say, well, you scratch your head and you go, I don't know where to start. Click on the examples down there and you'll see some model business plan. Those parts of the business plan will show up there, and then it start that wheel spinning in that old nugget up there, and then you have an aha moment, and then that's when you start with your business plan. Now, what I also love about that is you want to get somebody to put an additional set of eyes on it. Once you think you have completed your business plan, or you working on your business plan, in my case, just say I'm working on my business plan and I think I've did a great job. I called Miss Bell and I said, Miss Bell, I'm going to make you the reviewer on my business plan. Would you mind taking a look at it? And there you go. You got another set of eyes on it, and she'll come back and say, well, this looks good. However, and two heads is always better than one, especially when you're dealing with the subject matter experts. Now, for you veterans out there, there was a Small Business Enhancement, well, it's called the Small Business Enhancement Act of 2019. This bill was introduced and passed unanimously in 2018 by a Congresswoman out of Illinois, and I think she's a veteran as well. But what she said is that veterans create so much employment, and so we are doing them a disservice by not letting them take advantage of utilizing some of the excess equipment and material that we stockpile or we sell to the general public in every state. And every state has been identified as having excess property, and that listing of who they are and where they are is also available on this website once you pull it up. Each state also has someone that performs like I do here with the Mississippi Development Authority as veterans, certified veterans counselor. So basically, find out who it is in your state and tell them that you need assistance in getting certified as a veteran small business owner. Now, that program has not rolled yet, but it's getting real close. The SBA is overseeing that in conjunction with the VA. And basically what you need to have done is you need to be certified as a veteran small business owner before the program is rolled out. Now, what that's going to do I'm going to talk primarily for Mississippi. Mississippi has an excess property, and it's located in Pearl, Mississippi. That's the only location in Mississippi. They have excess property. That property is in operational conditions when you get it. So basically, what you do is once you get certified as a veteran small business owner, you're going to get your certification letter, and then you're going to also get a little decal that you can put on your business cards and stuff like that. And then you will have access to that excess property once they roll out the program. Now, Mississippi is not subsidized by, the excess property is not subsidized by any outside entity. So what they do is they sell the property that they have in store, but it's at a reduced cost. And typically, you as a veteran, you get the first dibs on the purchase of that equipment. Now, I was talking to the director of the excess property in Pearl, and he said that, and my question was, I was concerned, are we not buying any junk? And he said, no. He said, the equipment that we buy is in 1020 standards. And for those of you that is not familiar with 1020 standards, mean that it's in operational condition at the time of purchase. And he was telling me that he had a Caterpillar that they sold. I think he said that Caterpillar was 10 or 12 years old and it only had like 600 hours on it, so the engine wasn't even broke in on it. And of course, it's a lot cheaper than going buying it at the Caterpillar place. So those are some of the things that are available to you under that Veterans Enhancement Act. And then also, once you get that certification, those of you that are doing, so you're doing vegetables, added value products, you may be selling goats, sheep, cattle, whatever the case may be, there may end up being a contract that comes out where the government is buying from you. If that being the case, that being one of the certifications, and then also contact your contract procurement center. That's what I do here. I do a contract procurement, and basically what we do is we put you into our database, and based on what your NAICS code is, if a contract comes out, said that this company is looking for 5,000 pounds of goat meat. If you're one of those big goat farmers, meat goat farmers out there, and you have that resource is available to you, because of the way we set you up in our system with our NAICS code and the products and services that you provide, if you being a veteran or a disabled veteran, a small farmer, a minority farmer, whatever the case may be, that may have some annotations that you are disadvantaged, and that may be some funds that are set aside out of the contracting pool that said it must go to this group of people here. So that, it has some great implications and potential, but if you're not prepared and it happens, you just left money on the table. Prime example, when I talk about treating your business like a business, we had 3 funding sources here in Mississippi. You had the PPP, you had the EIDL, and you had the Back to Business Mississippi. Now, my office alone, out of $300 million, we were allocated $40 million. They gave us a little hunk of change on the side and says, hey, you have 60 days to dispense $40 million. And I must tell you, I almost cried. In 2 weeks out from that 60 days, I think we had dispensed about $10 million. Because, as I preach, treat your business like a business. What the services that my office, Mississippi Development Authority, provide for you, I don't like to use the word free, but the service that we provide is at no cost to you. No, I take that back. When you go down and apply for the Secretary of State to be in good standing, I think that's $53. But everything else is at no cost. You go in, you want to get your Dun and Bradstreet. If you go to one of those sites and it says we're gonna expedite your system and it's gonna charge you $1,500, be like what's that guy name that run whatever his name was, but run out of that site and contact your your procurement technical assistance center, because the service that we provide is your tax dollars at work. So they can't expedite it any more, any faster than we can, because we help you do it and you do it yourself. You have that sense of accomplishment and what you did that yourself, but it's a piece of cake. Then the same thing with the system for acquisition management, and it's referred to short for SAM. SAM is at no cost. It takes 2 or 3 days, but if somebody do it for you, it's going to take 2 or 3 days, and then your HIP National Bank is going to be a little bit lighter. Then, like I said, the only thing that's going to probably will have a cost, and I think it was, I think when I applied for the Secretary of State, I believe it was $53. With SAMs, it's at no cost to you, and you have to reapply every year. Dun & Bradstreet, only thing you need to do with that is if you add additional NAS code, you can just go in there and add it to your profile. But all of these things are at no service to you. Again, treat your business like a business. Now, I don't know if I did this one or not, but Alabama A&M and Auburn University did a joint project on an interactive, I believe it's called the F109, 1093 or 109 form. It's a good record keeping tool. I started using that in 2018. And so what I did was I saved a master copy of it. And every year what I do is I just put the year at the top, and it's corresponding with every line that's on that farm tax form that you file for your taxes. It has income. Then the page 2 has your all of your transactions. If it's a conservation practices, you get income from the conservation practice, whatever it goes in the income statement, you roll it over to the expense account. And then on the third sheet, which is all of this is working in the background once you put in an entry. And then it's also calculating your profit and loss statement and calculating everything on sheet number 3. So I don't have the link to that, but if you drop your information in the chat box, we can get that, or you can go out and Google Auburn University and Alabama A&M Extension Service. They are the one that published that. And as far as I know, it has not been updated, but for the last 3 years, it has worked perfectly for my operation. I think there's one more slide, Ms. Bell. There you go. And this is how you can contact, if you're in Mississippi, you can go to that site right there. If you want to get your SAMS number, you want to get your Dun & Bradstreet number, you can go to that site right there, and you can get if you want to sign up as to be one of our clients, click the drop down in the new client box, pick your county, and do and populate the information, and then either myself or one of my colleagues will get your information. We'll follow up with you, and then that's where we are. That is not only specific to Mississippi. Every state has a contract procurement center. So basically go out, if you're in one of the other states, like I said, out in Arkansas, I know we got a lot of our veteran population out there. They can go out to find out what is the contract procurement center there in Arkansas, and it'll bring up that list, and it'll tell you for who handles what particular area, or you can go to the primary office and they can get you in contact with the person that's in that area. Again, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a downright pleasing pleasure. And Ms. Bell, if there are any questions, I will entertain those.
Thank you so much, Mr. James. Let me grab those. And while I'm looking in the chat, Robin, could you come on and introduce yourself and talk about our program?
Yes, I'd be happy to. Thank you so much, Felicia. And thanks again, James, for sharing your knowledge. It's really great and super helpful. I'm Robin Metzger. I'm the program coordinator for NCAT's Armed to Farm program, which is a sustainable agriculture training program specifically for military veterans. And what that is we bring 30 or so military veterans together for a week. And also we welcome spouses or farming partners to attend with the primary farmer. And we bring them together for a week and spend half of each day in classroom settings, learning about things like business planning, record keeping, a lot of production information, marketing your farm products, all those types of good things. And then we spend the other half of the day out on farms learning hands-on from experienced, successful farmers. And we've been doing this program since 2013, and it's been really great. We've done 24 of them now. We've trained over 500 veterans. And it's just a really great program for folks to get that hands-on experience, but also get the training, the really important training in business planning and the financial side of farming as well. And it really creates a great network of farmer veterans who are there to support each other, and also information and service providers who are there to help as well. And unfortunately, because of COVID, we haven't been able to have any Armed to Farms this year, but we do have many in the works for the next few years, thanks to some USDA grant programs that provide the funding to make this training practically free for the attendees. So we pay for the lodging, most meals, and the local transportation to farms once you're at the training site. So we are planning on having several in the Southeast upcoming, Alabama, North Carolina, Kentucky. We'll also have some in other states, Texas, Colorado, just all over. Hopefully we'll be able to do those in person again starting in 2021. We'll see, but you don't have to attend, yes, fingers crossed. You don't have to attend an Armed to Farm in order to take advantage of our resources at NCAT and our ATTRA Sustainable Agriculture Information Service. Everyone who works on the Armed to Farm program is also an ag specialist who is here to help you with your questions, regardless whether you attend an Armed to Farm or not. So I just wanted to put that plug in. And again, if you have any questions, I don't know, I can put my email in the chat box and I'll put the web address. We have a website for Armed to Farm. There's all kinds of information on there. And there's a listserv you can sign up for if you want to receive emails. Sorry about my dog in the background. He's an Armed to Farm supporter too. But anyway, just let us know if there's anything we can do to help you. And thanks again, Felicia, for letting me come on and share that information.
Of course. The Armed to Farm program is awesome. So we do have our fingers crossed for 2021 because it's such a beautiful program for veterans that really want to get into farming. It is just a phenomenal program, and you really get submersed in it heavily. Like Mr. James says, it's not what we call it skimming the surface. Is not that. And then the camaraderie, that's what I love every time I view one of those. And we did have one here in Mississippi, but it's just a phenomenal program. So let's, always put our heads together and be like, yes, we want it to come back face to face, because yes, virtual will not do Armed to Farm justice. It will just not. It's the camaraderie, everyone, and of course those farm visits. So please be looking out for that. Robin have placed that in the chat. So please just, check periodically on our site. So when those pop up, you can apply for those. And I don't know if, Robin, you mentioned it is a registration. Did you mention that?
I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that. Yes, there is an application process, and that application is online. And when we are able to have them again, we'll send out announcements when the applications are open.
Great. So I'm gonna do chat questions now, and please, if you would like to ask a question, I'll mute your mic and you can come on. Our first question, and Mr. James, you may have to help me with this, and I can most likely even do more research on it. But the question was, could I buy land just for the pollinator program? And this particular person lives in Texas. So do you have an answer on that?
No, Miss Bell, I do not, because each geographic area is different.
Yes.
So what I would recommend that they do is go down to their NRCS office and get it straight from the horse's mouth.
Yeah. Yes. And those are usually in your USDA service center. So that is the sign that you will see on the street, on the curb, and they usually house the NRCS and the FSA. So those, and I think it's one more group in there, one more entity, but they're all USDA entities or subsets of the USDA. And so USDA service center is what you will see on the street. So they'll definitely be able to help you, because yes, each state get to basically create their practices and their programs for their constituents. And so what we have here in Mississippi, we would not be able to say, yes, that's going to be mimicked in Texas. So thank you, Mr. James, for that. Anyone else have? I have a few, I guess, some things Mr. James said that I wanted to clarify, but let's take questions. Anyone like to unmute themselves and ask a question? So Robin, do you see that in the chat for Texas? No, I'm sorry, Colorado.
Colorado, yes, I see that. I'm checking it out right now.
Thank you, Mr. Martin, because that may be another site, Robin.
Right, that's what I'm thinking. If you could email me at the email I posted in the chat box, kind of up at the top. If you could send me an email, I would be really happy to get you more information about Armed to Farm, and we could chat with on about how our programs could fit together and potential. I would be happy to do that.
Yes.
Thank you for that question.
Thanks, Mr. Martin. So some of the things that I wanted to just clarify and make sure our participants understood. Mr. James, could you re-say the tax form that you utilize from Auburn and Alabama A&M?
I think I will research and send it to you, but I think it's the F109.
Okay, F109.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's a supplement that normally goes with your tax form.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you what, that thing is so amazing. I fill it out throughout the year. I take one night of the week or month, whatever the frequency is, depending on how much transactions I have.
Mhm.
I put all my income in there that comes from whatever program, or if I get money from somewhere else, if I transfer fund into that account, I go in, I calculate my expenses on page 2. I don't even have to worry about page 3 because page 3 is already doing the calculation in the background.
Okay.
And what I would say, because especially if you're going to start doing with the equipment that has a pretty hefty price tag on it, it works on that depreciation piece.
Oh,
And that's going to offset your individual income.
yes.
And I tell you what, it's amazing. What I will do is I'll research and I'll send you the link and it's a 3-part Excel spreadsheet,
Okay.
but it's set up just like that tax form is, and
Mhm.
it tells you what line it goes on that actually it corresponds to the actually tax form.
Oh, thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Okay. Yeah, I'll send that to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next thing I have, I wanted you or myself, whoever, to explain the NAS codes because you kept saying the words, but clarify that for
and y'all have to excuse me because I'm from Mississippi, and that's NAICS,
Nate. Yeah.
National Atlantic and International Codes, and
Mhm.
that's based on prime example goats. I believe they're, what is it, 919941, I believe it is. It's a 6-digit code that identifies a specific class or service.
Mhm.
And that is, you can Google NAICS, and if you're not sure what code you're in, if you say agriculture, I mean, it goes all the way from vegetable garden without watermelon, vegetable garden without potatoes, whatever the case is, but it's national, North American International Codes. And
Mhm.
that's what they are, NAICS, NAICS.
And I will give an example, and Mr. James is so right for as I farm our businesses. And just recently, Mr. James, I'm what you're saying about the businesses, our farm have been set up like that with SAM.gov and the DONS number and stuff. But the NAICS codes are phenomenal because it really, you're really in the contractual system once you do the SAM.gov. And your NAICS code tell those contractors and those procurement officers what you're really doing. What do you stand for as a farm? And so I had equipment shipped here because we basically have closed our supply chain here for as we farm, but then we also now have moved in prepared meals. So we kind of have closed that loop up for as our farm is concerned. So I was getting commercial equipment sent here, and stuff, and through 18-wheeler. And so that particular company then did research on me because I just ordered under the business and just had it sent here. It wasn't a big deal. But then the company backtracked and researching like, hey, do you need us? And it was really under the NAICS code, like, hey, do you have things that you produce that you need us to ship for you? And so now my oldest son, are really, really thinking about that on the notion of, okay, because we do pull things from around the country. And it's like, hey, if we can scale ourselves up that way, if we now have this trucking company with the reduced cost because we are contract, under the contractual system and stuff. So it really, really worked because I didn't reach out for that one. So that it really works, and just wanted to let everyone know, please, figure it out. It's a lot of codes, but hone yourself in. What do you want your farm to be? And yes, you can go in and change them. So it's not a big deal to go in and change those codes when you need to.
Ms. Bell, and piggybacking off of your success story. I had a young lady that came in, and I'm always I like to you call myself ABC. Always be closing.
Yes.
In my case, always be talking. But I met a young lady. I was contracting her boyfriend to eradicate some trees for me. And she saw my veteran hat and she said, you're Army? And I go, "Huh." And so I said, "Well, what do you do?" And she said, "I'm a truck driver." She has her own transportation company.
Yes.
Lo and behold, through other connections, I found a load of T-posts in Chicago. And by virtue of that connection, I called her and I said, "Hey there, hero. How often are you out in the Midwest?" And she said, "Where you coming from?" I said, "I'm coming from Chicago." She said, "I'm always in Chicago." She said, "I'm only going to charge you one-way trip because I'm going to go out with a load and I'll pick you up coming back." And so it's a matter, but see, she's in my system. So anytime that I need, and see, that's the same thing with all of the other contract procurement centers, they can connect you with people that provide these services. Prime example, your transportation company.
Yeah.
I got a slew of transportation companies. I got hot shots, I got 18-wheelers, I got cross countries. You know, so basically we have access to a database that you call me and said, "Hey, who do you have in your system with the NAICS, with this NAICS code?" I can look in my system and I go, "Oh, I'm going to send you a list of contacts that you may want to reach out to these people right here."
Yes, sir.
And when you're talking about treating your business like a business,
yeah, it's
being in the system.
Yeah.
Ms. Bell, you're probably familiar with the Milestone Co-op.
Yes.
I have a colleague here that works for a nonprofit. She got a several $1,000 grant. She was looking for producers to provide produce, $10,000 a week, ran from June through October, and I think they extended it. Looked in my system, the Milestone Co-op was the only one in my system that had the certification. And so the guy and I, we had talked on several occasions because we attend a lot of the Alcorn events, but he reached out to me and he said, "Man, I'm so glad I'm signed up." I said, "I know you are."
Yes.
So he wasn't going to be able to sell all his produce, but what he's been able to do since June all the way through now, and they just planted their fall crop, so they are still providing about $10,000 worth of produce to here in DeSoto County
Wow.
on a weekly basis. And then you don't have to wait on your money because the money is already, you bring it up, you get a voucher for what you dropped off, and 5 days later, you got a check in Hip National Bank.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. It's nice to be a contractor for the government.
They pay weekly, and that's not WEAKLY, that's WEEKLY.
I know. Very, very nice. Now, the conservation plan, I wanted to briefly just share everybody. Mr. James mentioned the conservation plan is something that you can get through NRCS, but you're working with the technical service provider. And so, but it is allowable to you under your contract. So it won't come, you don't have to pay up in advance. NRCS provide that for each and every farmer. And a lot of farmers don't take advantage of it. So what it really does is giving you really what Mr. James did with his family farm, a blueprint. So even if you are a new and beginning farmer, if you say you want to be a goat producer, then that conservationist will write up your contract, but your TSP, the technical service provider, will come out and walk your land as well and give you ideas that you may never have thought of. And so it gives you a blueprint. These practices may not be able to be done the first year, but it gives you, like we know business plans. This is your land plan, your conservation plan. So it could be a 5-year plan, 10-year plan, but you have it in writing. And so please take heed to the conservation plan, and it is through NRCS, but you will be working with a third party, a contractor per se of NRCS. So you, like Mr. James said, you get your bang for your buck. You really, it's a good avenue to take, because you really need these things in writing first, where you're not just going through the world and not knowing and stuff, and you tend to make mistakes when you haven't planned. So please take advantage of that. Question for you, Mr. James, the certification, when you kept saying certification, do you mean the certifications that various businesses can get with SBA?
Yes, ma'am. That as well. Yeah, we even though we don't necessarily have the certification authority, but however, we have the link on our website. Is kind of like a one-stop shop. You can go through our website through SBA, and a lot of the same documents that we use, they are interchangeable with a lot of the other entities out there that we deal directly with.
Okay, great. I just want to make sure we clarified that. And the VA program is excess quitting.
Excess. Now there's a two-prong, and that's a good question, Ms. Bell. That's a two-prong. Now, if prime example, Mr. Martin, I'm looking at him, and that may be, he may have some, especially if he's a veteran. If he's a veteran, he may have some, there may be some other implications that may make him a ching-ching moment.
Mm-hmm.
But for the veteran excess property, for those companies that are small business, there's several documents that you have to upload.
Mm-hmm.
It's not it's time consuming, but if you're treating your business like a business, those documents are readily accessible.
Okay.
And then we hold your hands through that process. In the event that you get to one of those head scratching moments, just pick up the phone and call your local PTAC or your veteran counselor, and we can help you through that process. And then once you get all of those documents uploaded, you hit the submit button, and it's not going to let you submit the package until every block is checked green.
Mm-hmm.
Once every block is checked green, a case manager is going to call you within hours and said, "Hey, I'm your case manager. I'm looking over your file. If I find no deficiencies, I will pass it on to the certifying approval authority." And it's like, once I uploaded all of my documents, it was within a week. I had my letter back that said, "Hey, you are certified as a veteran small business owner."
Okay.
And then you get a little cute little decal that you can put on your business cards as well.
Wow, that's amazing.
But we are here to help, and like I said, talk to your and you can put my number up there, and I can kind of guide you through on the process. But any office that does the same thing as our office does, and like I said, we are all over the continental United States and Puerto Rico, Hawaii, and all of them dudes. But you have someone that does similar to what I do, and that's one of the services that they can provide for you.
Okay, and we do have a question like that. So Mr. John asked, how do I locate a local plan writer? So Mr. John, can you either come off mic or type in the chat, what plan? Are you talking about a business plan or your conservation plan? What do you need? Because I definitely understand what you're saying, that you just may need assistance with writing these particular plans. Okay, so the conservation plan, again, is through Natural Resources Conservation Service.
Stewardship, yeah.
Yeah, and it's NRCS. It's a USDA entity. So let me put it in the chat. USDA.gov. So nrcs.usda.gov. And again, you're going to be working with your local person. So NRCS, when you go to this particular website, you'll see, I think it's top right, maybe, drop down for your particular state. Once you get onto your state website, then I think it's the top left, you do a drop down for your county. And that's where you'll be able to see your particular service center in your county or the county next to it. I know in our state, we don't have a service center in every single county, but you'll have a person that's assigned to you though for that county. And then that's where you can go and really get assistance. Then, and you specifically ask for a conservation plan. Not all of them will offer it. And so you ask, this is what I would like to have as a conservation plan. That's when they will look through their roster, and you could do as well on their site to see who's in your area, the technical service provider, who that person is that you may want to work with to do your conservation plan. So it is a third party, but that third party is contracted through NRCS and they get paid by NRCS. So it is a opportunity for you to just get information, a plan, something that you could look at. Your children, grandchildren is there for you on your wishes of your property. And I hope I answered. If I didn't, please put it in the chat if I didn't answer in its entirety. Any other questions? Let's see. Oh, practices. I wanted to make sure everyone understood when Mr. James kept saying practices under NRCS. So NRCS really, that's their terminology of the various conservation projects that you can get on your land. And so for an example, if you're a vegetable producer, it's oh my goodness, it's a list of practices just for vegetable producers. And so they're going to ask you, who do you want to become? So if you're a new and beginning farmer, you're going in there, I would like to be a future goat producer. They automatically know, they go to that list and then they start helping you create your contract. And so they're going to ask you a lot of questions because again, we don't think about the now, we're planning for the future. And so if your notion is to become a commercial goat producer, be transparent, let them know, my goal is to make $100,000 a year on producing goat meat. And now they know how to help you, what practices you need, which will end up being implementations on your land. And so they'll be able to help you with that. Now, I do have to always give a disclaimer. We have great ideas, but we don't always have the land to do those ideas. And what I mean by that is, if we want to be a goat producer, but we only may have 1 acre, then do not get upset if your conservation your conservationist said, well, you could become that, but you may have to lease more land or you may have to buy more land. Don't get upset. They are the experts. They know how much land you need to be a profitable goat producer. Now, if you would like to be a homesteader or a hobby farmer, which is nothing wrong with it. A lot of people use those terms derogatory, and I don't like that because homesteaders are good, and that's how I was raised and still do that today. So there's nothing wrong with you making that decision, but be transparent with your conservationist. It's a difference in being a homesteader and just providing for a 5-family member household versus trying to feed 100, 200 families, so it's a difference. And so when you're talking with your conservationists, please be transparent with them and your goals. And so I really wanted to make sure you understand that. Don't get upset if they say that you cannot do it at this time. Because like I said, our dreams can be big, but they're not making, the earth is not making any more earth. And so if you only own an acre, then you may have to do other things if you want to raise livestock. But I will tell you, vegetable production can get you started. Nut production, fruit production can get your cash flow, your money flowing, where now you have monies to even purchase animals. Animals is expensive. I'm in it. And so it's very expensive to buy your breeding stock, to even get started doing animals. And so, if you have 1 acre, that vegetable, fruit, and nut production, herb production could really get you cash flowing, where you can really expand your business in the future and stuff. And I think that's all I had. I think I did put the ATTRA link. Nope, I didn't. I was going to put that. I want to make sure that you all check out our ATTRA link. Mr. James brought up the CART project we have with the 3 video series. Please check that out on our website to learn more about that and explanation on that. And again, I will allow Robin, Mr. James to give final words. And if it's anyone have questions, you can unmute yourself or put it in the chat before we close out.
I think that's pretty much it. I don't think I have anything to add. Thank you, Felicia. Just once again, let us know if you have any questions. Feel free to contact us. You can email us. And you can call our 1-800 number, 800-346-9140. And we've got ag specialists here to help.
You said 9140? Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thank you so much, Robin, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Mr. James, I'll let you close us out. Can't hear you.
It was a downright pleasing pleasure to spend time with you, seeing our friend Robin there again. And yeah, I hope COVID do this, because I need to come back and go to another farm with you, because guys, if you get a chance to go to Armed Farm, I mean, got a chance to do things. I mean, cattle. Matter of fact, I still have my yardstick for grazing yardstick that I got when I was out there. And some of the relationships that we develop out there, we still keep in contact, passing tidbits of information on, did you know? But everybody on the call, I want to say thank you. And there are some resources out there. Please become familiar with your servicing agent. Find out what's out there. For you veterans, if you haven't decided what you want to be when you grow up yet, go talk to your local. There's a local university somewhere close to you. It's normally called the Small Business Development Center. You can go ask them all the dumb questions so they can tell you, no, you can't get there from here. Like Ms. Bell said, you want to raise sheep, and I think it was one of the Alcon professors. We were having a joke about it at a class the other evening. The guy said he wanted to raise 400 meat goats, and he didn't even have an acre of land. And so, needless to say, the professor that went out to view him told him that you can't get there from here. And of course, he was somewhat pissed off, but he got over it shortly. But again, utilize the resources that are available to you, and there's nothing like networking. There's nothing like networking. Take advantage of if you're in Georgia, Texas, you guys are doing it up big down there. Colorado, I see some great things in store for you, because you need to reach out to Gorman. Is that his name, Robin? On the phone?
Michael, yes, Michael
Michael Gorman. Yeah, you need to get, yeah.
Farmer Veteran Coalition.
Yep.
Mhm.
I see some great things on the horizon for that operation.
Yeah.
Again, everybody be safe, and always shoot for the stars. And if you fall short, you'll always be out there with the stars.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Quickly, Ms. Carolyn, could you come on and speak about where the microloan workshop and links of how people can get on? Do you mind coming on and sharing that right quick?
Okay, good evening, everybody. I enjoyed it. I almost missed you all today. And someone mentioned NCAT, and like, okay, they got a workshop today. But anyway, tomorrow, the last couple of weeks, we've been doing workshop. We have Anthony McCarthy is hired with us with Alcorn. And Anthony is retired from FSA. So he have like 34 plus years of experience with FSA. So he's really doing a great job in educating people on the different loans. And we started out with the youth loan, and tomorrow night, and I guess I'm gonna have to put my email address, I'll put it in the chat box, and you all just shoot me the email, and I'll send the information, because it's gonna be Zoom on tomorrow night. But this is every Thursday night, except the I think next week, because we're gonna have a borrowers training next week. Yeah. And but we'll be doing those, and we got a lot of good information, to share with everyone. And I'm trying to convince Mr. Burch to come on to, since he's Army strong, I'm trying to get him to be, brave strong. So it's never too late to come and get that degree. And I'm listening to all the knowledge that he had. So you come right on, Mr. Burch, and you come and you major in agriculture, and it's all the resources that you need. Mr. Trust Claire, so we will fix you up. So we hope that you would decide, you have nothing to lose. So I just wanted to share that information, and I don't know how many email addresses that I have, but if you all send that to me, I make sure that I will share that information when we're having different workshops.
Okay.
And I really enjoyed today, and hopefully I won't miss any more.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for joining us. That's Alcorn State University. We thank you. Thanks, Robin. Thanks, Mr. James. And thanks all to our participants today. Please grab the links in the chat, our websites, our phone numbers, so you can reach out to us at a later date for information. But thanks everyone for joining us today, and have a great rest of the day. Take care.
Thank you, Felicia. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, all. Stay safe.